Redland Logbook here to talk about another Danmachi theory I have. One about how Eyes has been alive for the last 1,000 years. I guess first we should start with some context, with the simple fact that Eyes actually was alive 1,000 years ago before the gods ascended down from the heavens. So Eyes' mother is a wind spirit named Arya, and also Albert Wallenstein, the greatest hero in all of Danmachi history. Both her mother and father died when fighting the Black Dragon. Albert was able to take out its eye, but of course died in the process, leaving 7-year-old Eyes all by herself. And that all happened 1,000 years ago, because right after that, that is when the gods ascended from heaven. The first of them anyway, Uranus, Zeus, and I cannot remember the third god, but that's not really important to the theory. The point is, Eyes is 1,000 years old. Now, before I get to the theory, there are 3 things that I gotta talk about. The first thing being the fact that Eyes part spirit. Her mother is a spirit. Now, this is unique because spirits should not be able to reproduce with other races, and yet her human father and mother spirit were able to have her. This has not been explained how or why, but it is what it is, and it has been confirmed that there is in fact spirit blood running through Eyes' veins. That's why she has the wind magic. That wind comes from her mother. This makes Eyes a one-of-a-kind, special, unique race, a human-spirit hybrid. Number 2, Eyes' absolute hatred for monsters. Eyes has such an intense hatred for monsters that she ended up automatically developing a skill from it, one that allows her to surpass her limits for the sole purpose of killing monsters. For example, when Eyes was a level 1, first got her fauna, she attacked a goblin, which should have been an easy fight for her level 1, but she should have got beaten up. She didn't just one-shot it. When she attacked it with a sword, it exploded into guts. Reveria stated that it didn't look like she cut it with a sword, it looked like she hit it with a club or a hammer. It just exploded into bits. That's how much more power skill gives her. Another example is currently she's a level 6. She was able to go toe-to-toe with Revis, a creature that is a level 7. In fact, Revis was able to hold off Finn, Reveria, and Garth all on her own. And yet with Eyes' skill, she was her equal. Now, it's not the skill that has anything to do with my theory, it's actually her overwhelming hatred for monsters, her overwhelming disdain, the black flame consuming her very heart. That is that's the part that matters to my theory. Finally, the third thing involving the theory is the dungeon. The dungeon is a womb for monsters. Whenever a monster dies, their soul goes back into the dungeon and they resurrect. You do it enough times, plus a lingering emotion that holds on to it, you end up with a Xeno. Each of the Xenos were monsters that died, resurrected over and over again, but they had a lingering emotion that just held in their back of their minds inside the dungeon that spawned intelligence. For Leo, it was a sunrise or a sunset. For Jarius, it was the fight with Belle. And for Ween, it was wanting to be saved and rescued by someone. Usually her fellow monsters, but no one would ever come to save her. It was a longing to be loved. Okay, so this is my theory. Eyes died 1,000 years ago. She didn't survive for the last 1,000 years. No, she died as a little girl. And what happened was she resurrected, but she remembered everything. She was able to hold on to her soul. Eyes would be the one and only to do this, because Thanatos even says that when you die, a god of death like him cleanses your soul completely of your past, of everything, your memories, your very existence of your former lives, and then it is sent back to Earth completely clean. No one ever remembers their past lives. That's just how that is. But I think Eyes does, because of what I believe would happen when Eyes died 1,000 years ago. I think her soul latched onto the dungeon because of her special blood and her intense emotion. Like I said, you're able to monsters resurrect in the dungeon with intelligence because of a lingering emotion, because they're able to remember a sliver of their past life. I think Eyes' soul was so driven by hatred and wanting to just kill monsters, wanting to get revenge for her parents' death, that it attached itself to the dungeon, and over 1,000 years slowly grew a body back inside the dungeon, the womb of monsters, and gave birth to Eyes. This would explain why Eyes was 7 years old 1,000 years ago, and then again 7 years old when she first meets the Loki Familia. Because the way the dungeon works is that you aren't born a child, you're born fully grown. That's how monsters are. So this version of Eyes, if she died at 7 years old, that means she would be fully grown at 7 years old, when the dungeon gave birth to her. As a little girl with overwhelming desire for revenge, for bloodlust, Aiz was able to do what was considered to be impossible by even the gods of death. She was able to keep her memories when she resurrected. Okay, that's my theory. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you can enjoy more Danmachi and other anime things. Thank you and have a great day.